Okay, welcome everybody to the episode number 2 of the Prince Garage. We're working on 2003 Ford F250. We are going to work on the rear right brake. We're going to replace the caliper. I replaced it with a used one about 3 months ago. It's still not working properly, so we got a new one. To take the caliper off, it's pretty simple. The tools you need is, I used 21 to take the lug nuts off. That's pretty easy. The caliper bracket bolts are an 18, and then the caliper bolts are a 14. Ready to take the brake caliper off, we got a 14. So there's 2 bolts to take the caliper off. Most calipers are like this. There's 1 bolt at the top, 1 bolt at the bottom, and then once we take that off, we got to take the actual caliper bracket off, which is the 18. There's 1 at the top and 1 at the bottom, and then everything falls off, and then the rotor will pop right off. So here we go.
Sean's being so cute.
Okay, 2 bolts. So once that bolt's off, this should slide right out. Let me grab a bar. So we got the caliper off finally. So let's just take a look at the old one and the new one. So here's the old one. Here's the new one. This one is not refurbished. It's brand new because I used a used one before for really cheap and it didn't work. So I thought I'd just buy new and not trust the refurbished stuff. So it comes in 2 pieces. This is the caliper bracket with the pads and the caliper. This one comes loaded with a new caliper bracket. So I'm gonna have to take the bracket off first. And then reinstall the bracket, and then put the shoes on, or the pads on, and then put the caliper on. Okay, so I'm gonna use a 13/16 to hold that. It's probably not the right size, but it should do the trick. Rotor first. That's good. So then we grab the caliper. Look at the pistons, they're nice and clean. This thing should work really, really well. So got the bolts. Let's throw this on like this. Luckily we don't have to, so whenever you do a brake job, what happens is this material on the brake pad gets skinnier and skinnier and skinnier, and so the piston here closes in and in and in and in, and then when you go to replace it, the pistons are pushed in and they won't go over the new brake pads. So normally you have to put a C-clamp, you put an old brake pad on here. Oops. Put a C-clamp on here and squeeze the pistons back, but because this one's new, the pistons are pushed all the way back and it slides right on. Right, here we go. Okay, now here's the interesting part. So we gotta connect this hose back on. You see how there's a little yellow plug here to make sure nothing gets in there. Now once you are just finishing up here, we got the bolts back in, we got the washers on both sides of the banjo bolt here, we got the vice grip not connected to the, what's it called, this brake hose here, and it's not leaking, so we're good to go. Last thing you have to do is bleed the brakes. So what they mean by bleeding the brakes is there's going to be air. This whole new caliper is full of air, so you want to bleed the air out of it. Okay, we got Jameson in here. He's going to help me bleed the brakes. So he's got his foot on the brake pedal. He's going to wait for my command. We're back over here. Here's the new caliper. It takes a 10 mil So Jameson's gonna, I tried putting this box here to collect it to not ruin the driveway, but the house is like 1,000 years old anyways, so who cares? Okay. Okay, Jameson, you ready? Okay, push and hold. You holding? Okay, so we'll open it up and then tighten it. Okay, let go. Okay, push and hold. So pump 3 times. Okay, hold it. Okay. Okay. Good. So that's bleeding the brakes. So at first it was kind of sputtering. There's a bunch of air in there, but it's a nice, smooth, solid stream. So we should be good to go. We just got to check the brake fluid at the front of the truck, top it up, and we're done.